we call it a delict, but I will explain that very technical term. It is basically if there is somebody negligently or negligently didn't do something. I think a good example would be the police. Sometimes they must act and then they don't. So that's kind of negligence. But there also can be where they purposefully did something. So there's two kind of damages there. So where somebody didn't do something where they should have done something, or where they deliberately did do something wrong. But unfortunately, also another leg of that was there damages? Because somebody can do something wrong, but there isn't necessarily a consequence. So I think in the COVID environment, one would get two kinds of damages. Maybe the one, a psychological one, because I see nowadays there's a lot of fear. Am I going to die? Am I going to infect my family, my friends? So that kind of psychological damage can there be, but there can also be a monetary one. And you were mentioning the employer. So I think that's where the monetary damages can come in terms of if I'm misdiagnosed and maybe I've lost my job, or somebody has stopped my payment of my salary. That is some of the consequences of that.
And there's also the fact that the place of employment would have to be deeply cleaned, and they would have to close down and perhaps halt production. Can the employers sue because of the misdiagnosis?
I think coming back to what I said, the question here would be damages. So if the employer, in principle, can say, okay, I had to shut down the factory for 2 days because you told me that some of my staff members were positive. Yes, and they can say that I've lost R1 million in production fees. In principle, I cannot see why not.
Okay, so can the delayed COVID-19 results be classified as a medical malpractice, as it could lead to the person infecting others with the virus?
Well, have to be, that's part of any claim, is to say that what is this standard, because I'm not a medical practitioner or a pathologist, but what is a delay? I think that is it's a difficult for me to answer. So if it's unreasonable delay, it's difficult for me to say exactly what it would be a delay be.
And well,
sorry, I don't know if I got the whole your question. Maybe there's a bit of a breakup in the audio also.
It must be the network. All right, but what does the law say about somebody who knowingly has the virus and acts recklessly and infects others?
Yeah. Look, there is some jurisdictions that I know, and there was mentioned before that they want to charge those people with attempted murder. I don't know of any prosecutions that has taken place, but if you look at it, because if you walk around knowing that you are positive, and you maybe go to a shop or to your workplace, and you have somebody working with you that has an underlying condition, and you infect that person, if you look at all the medical evidence that we read nowadays, those people with the pre-existing conditions are more likely to be hospitalized and that can die. As I say, I'm not aware of a case in South Africa where they've tested that, but in theory, one can say that, is that person not trying to murder me by walking around knowing that they are positive and that they can infect somebody?
All right. Okay. What about in the situation whereby, taxi drivers have decided to increase the capacity to 100%? We know that we don't know who might be infected in the taxis, and yet they are fully loaded. In that case, well, what can people do? What can the regular commuter do? besides just boycott the taxis, since it's their only way of travel?
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the first part of your question. There was a break
Right, okay.
in this communication.
All right, no problem. So in terms of the taxi industry deciding to put the commuters, or rather fill the taxis at full capacity, 100%, where initially it was 70%, so that they can have the social distancing. In that instance, what can the commuters do?
I think, like you say, the poor person that's going to use the taxi, that's the only transport going to work. And they know that if I'm not going to get to my place of work, most probably they're going to be in trouble there. So I think it's a difficult question, but I think everybody, if you read again you've just listened to the medical experts, they say wearing the mask, protects you, but also protects the person next to you. So if you have to get into the taxi or the bus, I think from your own side, just make sure that you wear a mask, that you maybe try not to touch the services in the taxi, because you don't know if it has been disinfected or not. But I think also nowadays there is so many advice lines, complaint lines, ethic hotlines, and maybe just go and report that specific route or taxi driver and say, look, consistently, I see every morning when I get into this specific taxi, it's not complying. Because at the end of the day, we're all there to look out for each other also.
Mm-hmm. And then what about employers who knowingly or know someone in the company who does have the virus, but will not shut down and will continue production?
Again, I think you're breaking up a bit, so I just want to make sure that I understand the question. Is that employer that is still continuing with his work, knowing that there is somebody positive in the office, if that's your question?
Yes. Right, the network is not so great right now, but that is what I wanted to know from you, Elizabeth.
So sorry about that. There's a real delay in the communication. Mm-hmm. If I understand your question correctly, I think it is again the Department of Labor is the institution that looks at these kind of things. So if the employee feels aggrieved by it, then one should.
All right. Okay. We're going to leave it there for now.
Can you hear me now,
Elizabeth? Well, it's breaking so bad. I think it must be the network, but thank you so much for your time. That was Elizabeth Nieuwoudt from Legal Aid South Africa. She is the head of the office at Tempisa. If you have any questions or comments regarding the topic of discussion, the misdiagnosis or delayed test results, you can send them to our WhatsApp line on 061-766-0355, or you can leave the comments in the comment section below, and we'll get Elizabeth to answer them. But for now, with the lines not very great, we're going to leave it there. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.